Thank you for joining me for the third edition of Tina Talks Finance. We'll wait just a few minutes to see how many more people show up. Hope you're having a fantastic Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday. I'm sure we're all excited about that. For some of you, it may be Payday Friday, which makes it even better. Hope you have some fun plans. Remember, you can use Zoom to connect with all of your friends. It doesn't cost anything as long as it's 45 minutes. So we'll go ahead and get started. So thank you for joining me for the third edition of Tina Talks Finance. For those who don't know me, my name is Tina Herndon. I work for the Citizen Potawatomi Community Development Corporation, and I hold several financial counseling certifications, and I'm currently working on a master's degree in personal finance planning, and I've spent over a decade helping families one-on-one overcome their financial hurdles, so that's why I'm bringing a subject to you today. Today's subject is determining our needs from our wants. It is sometimes hard to know whether something we want to buy falls in the need category or the want category. I want to share with you a method that I use for determining my needs from my wants, and that's the Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory. This is such a highly regarded theory that it's taught in universities across the world. Maslow's hierarchy states that there are only 5 human needs that must be satisfied in their specific order. Those needs in order are physiological, safety, love and belonging, esteem, and self-actualization is the last step, the very top of the pyramid. These needs are most often depicted in a graphic of a pyramid. Looks something like this. Now you can't read the words, but that's what it looks like. As we work our way up the pyramid, we'll start at the base and work our way up. I'll tell you why this model helps to determine our needs from our wants. First, on the Maslow's pyramid would be the very base of the pyramid, and that's our physiological needs. These are literally our needs to survive. These are our physical needs. Without these basic human needs, our lives would cease to exist. Since this need must come before any of the other ones, it is the base of the pyramid. This is the very foundation of that everything builds from. This category would be food for sustaining life, water to drink, clean air. Imagine you're stranded in a real life version of Castaway. You've been on a desert island for a week with no food whatsoever. Would the need for food trump all of your other basic needs? Of course it would. So let's talk about that in everyday terms. Imagine a parent who has no food in their household whatsoever. They will do just about anything to feed their family. So that's when the need to survive trumps the need to belong, the need for love, the need for esteem. All we need to do is make it to tomorrow. So they will become so consumed with filling this need that they eventually can't think of anything else but the burning desire to have food. The next level of our pyramid are safety needs. This is the need to feel safe. The reason this doesn't come first is because if your physiological needs are not met, then it's hard to think about anything but safety. So let's go back to our desert island. If you don't have food, you'll be too weak to think about safety. However, if you're chased by a lion into a cave with zero food, then we have satisfied our needs out of order. And then even in our secure place, we will find that we need to go back to the base of the pyramid to find food and meet our physiological needs. Now let's go back to our parent scenario. If they move to a safer neighborhood before they can afford the basics of food and water because the rent is too high, then they will find themselves back at square one, trying desperately to fulfill that need for food. The third level of our pyramid is the love and belonging. These needs include friendship, intimacy, family, sense of connection, those kinds of needs. This is the need that we as Americans tend to spend a lot of our money to satisfy. It's also where a lot of our wants begin to be addressed because our physiological needs and our safety needs should already be met. We will, myself included, spend our last dime to enjoy time with the ones that we love. There is nothing wrong with that. However, if you're struggling to survive and you go out to dinner with your friends, that's where we begin to have a problem. If we go back to the movie Castaway in our scenario, how long was it before Wilson made it to the island? It was days and days, and Tom Hanks' character was going crazy. So he started looking for what? Food, a physiological need. And then when he found some food in the packages, he also found Wilson, a volleyball that became his constant companion. But what happened whenever he jumped in the water to try to save Wilson? He nearly died because he placed his love and belonging above his physiological need for air. So if we start to satisfy those out of context, then we may end up having more of a problem. In the parent scenario, sometimes parents will invest in child sports or clothes at the peril of their other more basic needs. Why would we do that? Because they want their child to be higher on the pyramid. There is nothing at all wrong with that. However, if we put that into our budget over a year instead of all of a sudden being hit with that expense, sometimes it makes it easier for us to work that into our budget so that our physiological and our safety needs are still met as we're meeting our love and belonging needs. And of course, this is not with every parent, but it is prevalent with the clients that I see. Now we're to the fourth and almost to the top of our pyramid. The next step in the pyramid is esteem. This is above love and belonging. This is us working on ourselves. It is a step where most of our wants will hide. There is absolutely nothing wrong with spending money on ourselves as long as it fits into our plan. I always say that a spend category is the most important part of our spending plan because it's our emotional and our motivation piece. People will be super strict with their budget for a short time, but it's rare I can see someone that will remain strict enough to achieve those long-term goals if they don't have a spend category. This is why it's important for us to remember to address some of our wants because it keeps us on track to achieve the smaller goals that build into our eventual outcome goals. This is where we are rescued from the desert island and we claim our $1 million prize for survival, if anyone watches Survivor. But in our single parent scenario, it would be something like helping others financially. Again, there's absolutely zero wrong with helping others. But if you're struggling to cover the basics of life, that is not the time to start lending money. I recommend only lending money that you can live without and never, ever, ever co-signing for anyone else's needs, ever. If you are considering lending money, please ask yourself, do you want to be a lender or do you want to be a leader? Do you want to lead your family, your friends to a better lifestyle and put your heads together and try to figure out a longer term solution? Or do you just want to be the bank of friend? I personally would rather be a leader. And 5, at the very, very top of our pyramid, and again, it looks something like this. The very, very top of our pyramid is self-actualization. This is fulfilling the desire to become the most you can possibly be. This happens when we have achieved our potential fully and can start pursuing our creative side. This is where the trip to Hobby Lobby and the shopping spree happens. Self-actualization can only be achieved by filling all of our other more innate needs like food, water, shelter, transportation. We feel like we belong. We have self-esteem. In line with our scenarios, if we already survived the desert island and were dropped there again accidentally, we would begin achieving our needs in order all over again. So our physiological needs would be first, then safety, then Wilson can keep us company. But first, we have to tend to our more basic needs before we can move back into that self-actualization step. In our single parent scenario, our parent worked their way to self-actualization, then found themselves without a job. So long, they were unable to pay their rent. They would fall back into fulfilling the needs in order, starting with how will I feed my family, closely followed by where will we live? So something to think about as we navigate the COVID-19 recovery. What did we find we didn't need? How much less could it cost to satisfy our needs if we did it in order? So if we don't skip to love and belonging, how much more could we spend on becoming safer or becoming more secure for retirement? What did we spend on our love and belonging while we were cooped up in our homes? It costs much less for a Zoom membership than it does to take our family to dinner. I just encourage you to learn from the survival lessons that could be taken from this experience. What could we cut to achieve our short, moderate, and long-term goals without sacrificing our quality of life? Do our goals align with where we are on the pyramid? Only you can answer those questions. But now I would like to answer your questions. Please type those into the chat, and I will give you just a few seconds to do that.
What is the best way to determine if a specific item is a need or want, such as mobile phones, cable TV, internet, pets, and pet food, etc.?
How do you determine what should be on your need list? What I would encourage you to do is think first, if I did buy this item, could I still achieve my physiological needs? Would I still be safe? And where in the category of my wants would this fall into if it doesn't fit into your physiological or those basic needs that you have? Do you have any other questions? Give you just a few seconds to get those typed in if you're working on that. So let's talk about determining whether a mobile phone is a need or want. Mobile phones, 5 years ago, we lived without those completely and totally. Not 5 years ago, it's probably 10 years ago. But now we have become a society that we don't have landlines anymore. And we've also come to a time where our cell phones are inexpensive. However, I would encourage you, if you're really looking hard to cut things and everything looks like a need, then look and see what you use your phone for. If you're paying a $30 cell phone bill instead of paying a $50 internet bill, then maybe it is a need. If you're only using it to play games with it, then maybe it falls into the want category. However, remember, it's okay to buy things that are in our want category. They just have to fall within our budget.
How would you handle family members' needs as well as your own?
How do you handle family members' needs as well as your own is the question. That is a tricky one. And it depends on if it's immediate family that lives in your home or if it's your extended family. Your extended family is only an extended family because they can afford to be an extended family. If you look at other cultures, such as European cultures, a lot of them, they stay in the same home that they were born in for years and years. And if you think back to probably my grandparents or great grandparents, it wasn't unusual to see multiple generations living in the same household. So, what I would say is don't allow their needs to become your needs. There is nothing wrong with helping them if you're able to, or if those needs are a one off situation. But when we start satisfying all of their financial needs and sustaining their household as long as, and at the same time we're trying to maintain our household, and it starts to affect our quality of life, then that's when I would encourage you to start thinking, do I want to continue to be my friend or family member's lender, or do I want to lead them to a better lifestyle and help them achieve these goals themselves? Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you for joining me for this edition of Tina Talks Finance. I hope you'll join us next week, the same day, Thursday at 10 a.m., and we will start to discuss spending plans and the do's and don'ts of how to get those accomplished. Thanks for joining us today. Bye.